Hello, SLAPAFISH community, and welcome back to another World Tanks Console video. So in this video, I'm going to be doing pretty much a tank review over the brand new AMX 30B2 FORAD, which I'm just going to be calling the AMX 30B for this video. It's so much simpler. So this is the tank that you get for the Ultimate Pass. Basically, it's 6,000 gold, and yeah, and is the second Cold War French tank in the game. The first one was the AMX 1311 SS. I don't remember what it is, what it's called. It's the multi-weapon light tank that has a 6-shot 75mm and a 4 ATGM autoloader. Now, sticking with the French style for Cold War, this tank also gets a multi-weapon system, which it gets the main gun. It's a 105mm, does 3,537 average damage. I mean, DPM, average damage. That would be insane. That would be pretty much one-shotting any tank you can see. Its average damage is 460. Now, the second gun, it's the secondary. This gun is a 20mm gun. Now, most secondary guns are like a single shot or it's an ATGM. But this one is an autocannon, and it's very fun to play with. And I wish more tanks actually had access to their autocannons. Like if it's just a secondary, just not being able to do anything, because it makes the tank feel better. It just makes it feel a lot funner. Like, it's so much fun just to fire your gun, like your secondary gun, just at tanks. Try to track them out in the open, which I have got so much assist from the autocannon. It's insane by just track assists. By just tracking tanks out in the open with this gun. With the autocannon. The autocannon is like what makes this tank. What makes this tank so fun? What makes this tank so unique? And also makes it stand out from the other medium tanks in Era 2. Now, I've actually been able to do insane things with the AMX 30B. Like, it is a pretty powerful tank if you know how to use it. And hopefully I'll be able to show you all how to use this tank and the 2 replays I got to show. So, yeah, this AMX 30B in front of us is not really going to survive. And that's how you really use the 2 guns in consecutive. Most of the time, the secondary gun will only pin backs and sometimes tanks sides. Also, this is a really good time to use smoke, pop the smoke, and shoot the 4.211 in the side of the turret. And I retreat without ever taking any damage. So, Q. So yeah, if you can use the main gun and the autocannon together, and you get the autocannon like pinning, you're absolutely ripping apart tanks, because the autocannon actually carries a lot of shells in a clip. What is the reload on the autocannon? The reload on the autocannon is 15 seconds. So yeah, quite nice. And it's an autocannon, so it's good. Its penetration does suck at 87mm of penetration. So there is that. It does have high explosive, which the high explosive is okay. I keep 100 rounds. I think it's 100 rounds on this tank just to chew down buildings. They're not really good at tracking that much with the autocannon. But yeah. Also, the accuracy on the autocannon is actually better than the main cannon, which is actually really nice. The main cannon is 0.26, and the autocannon is 0.22. And now, I'm talking a lot about the autocannon because the autocannon is just fun. If you get it to pin, it's like a BMP2. Basically, your autocannon is just a BMP2 that has a way less penetration. And yeah, you know how deadly a BMP2 is. So yeah, let's talk about the rest of the tank. So the 30B. So what's talking about? The 30B actually has good turret armor. Decent. It's decent for World War II. For the tier 10 AMX 30B, you can actually go hold out as long as people don't shoot you in your cupola. Now, that is somewhat true in Era 2, especially if people are shooting heat. They can hit you in your turret, and it can ricochet, and can get absorbed. I have got hit by missiles and rounds in my turret, especially in the gun mantlet, and they did nothing. But I would not rely on it, but it can happen. And if you have the autocannon of another AMX 30B, they cannot pin you from the front unless they aim, like, actually the autocannon cannot pin you from the front. So if, like, one of these autocannon tanks come at you, just point your armor at the front of them to help you defeat the penetration of the autocannon. So it's quite nice. So, I'm actually struggling against the Mauler's. Mauler's absolutely ripping me apart. And I definitely need to run away and try to get another position with a dead driver. So, yeah. So, I do want to say one of the things I really hate about this tank is the heat ammunition is standard, which causes this shell to get absorbed by space armor and, like, armor in general. Because that's what heat does when it shoots heat defeating armor. Also, the smaller, I'm going to light them on fire. The autocannon is really good at lighting tanks on fire because there's so many shots, especially when you put Deadeye on it. Anyway, the heat rounds have 1,000 meters per second. The APFSDS has 1,525 meters per second. Shell velocity, so definitely a lot better for the second round. If you want to snipe, switch to your premium round. Really hate that the heat round is standard. Really do. Yeah. It's one of the things that really annoy me. What else? Oh yeah, that mantlet I was talking about has 270 millimeters. Quite nice. But for Cold War Era 2, that's not the best. It is definitely not going to block too many shots, but it's definitely there. It's 270. It could definitely block some shots. So yeah. Mobility. What is the mobility of this tank? 65 forward, 23 reverse. It's about the average speed of a Era 2 medium tank. Horsepower per ton is 19.5. So it's quite mobile. Okay armor and its turret, but not reliable armor. Can ricochet stun shots off the turret, and sometimes the weird angle of the hull can actually bounce some shells. What else? The gun, the main cannon is great. It has a good DPM. It sucks because it fires heat rounds. The autocannon, it's just a load of fun to play with. What else? View range is 520 meters, and I forgot to talk about my crew and equipment loadout. But anyway, if you can use both of the cannons together simultaneously, you can take out a lot of tanks by yourself. And if you know how to use this tank correctly, you can do pretty nice stuff. There was one match on, I don't remember what the map was called, but it was me versus two AMX 30Bs. We're all three full health. And I came around the corner. I killed one of them very quickly, then I killed the other one very quickly. Remind you, this was at the very beginning of the match. All three of us at very full health. And yeah, I walked away with 1,600 hit points. Because I made use of the autocannon, I made use of the main cannon, and because the autocannon loves to set tanks on fire. And you'll notice when I fire, I'll try to aim at the rear of the tank and to specific spots, because I know where fuel tanks and stuff are. And I'm trying to get a fire to go. Yeah. And yeah. Also, this tank is very fun to rush in. Like, you can rush in because you have the autocannon, you have the main cannon, you have that speed, you can just over-rush people. You could pretty much push flanks. You could do that with pretty much any tank that has a multi-weapon system. which I love multi-weapon systems because you could just use your multi-weapon system and just kind of rush. So anyway, also if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing because it's free and helps the channel out a ton. Also remember to slap a like button because why not? So let's talk about equipment and crew skills before I forget to. So I had the advanced concealment, advanced loader, powertrain, and the enhanced target info. My skills are born leader, rapid loading, sixth sense, supply conservation, green thumb, muffle shot, deadeye, silent driving, and camouflage expertise. I actually went with a camo view range loadout for this tank. Not really thinking or looking at the stats, but I didn't think it needed that many. Like, you don't really need... Like, the tank is very good in a lot of aspects. Like, you don't need off-road driving. You don't really need the accuracy stuff. You don't really need, what's the other stuff? You don't need off-road driving. Like, you don't need accuracy. Like, you can really pretty much equip this tank as you want to. But that's what I went with. I try to stay hidden in this tank because it is lightly armored, except for that turret part. And yeah, that's basically what I went through. And I can't really get over the autocannon because the autocannon just makes this tank so much fun and just so fun to play. Like, I know I've said it so many times, I talked about the autocannon so many times in this replay in this video, but the autocannon just really is that fun. And I really do love the addition. And I really wish that more tanks, that's what I'm looking for, more tanks have access to their autocannons because it's just fun to play with. Also, Deadeye does seem to work. Well, Deadeye does not work with heat points, which this tank fires for standard. But the autocannon does not fire AP, like heat standard. So it fires like AP standard. So that's why I'm probably lighting a lot of tanks on fire a lot. And can track easier and like obliterating stuff inside tanks. Want to point that out there. So yeah. Overall, this is a very fun tank. Really do love it. 6,000 gold, absolutely worth it. 6,000 gold for an Ultimate Season Pass is always worth it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Also, remember to SLAPAFISH because why not? And peace out. See ya.